I reviewed Donkey Kong Country a little while ago, and have been playing Donkey Kong Country 2 off and on since then. Well, I think it's about time that I wrapped it up and discussed how good it is. When you get down to it, DKC 2 isn't much different from the original game, but instead it's just a slew of new levels, tricks, and traps. It's basically like an expansion to the original game, but has enough new content to allow it to stand alone. Of course, this was also in the days where DLCs were pretty much unheard of, but it's the way I decided to explain it, so if you don't like it, tough. Anyway, let's get this out of the way. Donkey Kong is not playable in the game. In fact, he's not in the third game either. Instead, he's the one that needs saving, and you play as Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong. Both of them are playable, just like the original DKC game. However, the second game expands on dual character playability in which each character has a different trait available to them. Diddy, for example, has the ability to roll off of a cliff and then jump in mid-flight. Dixie, on the other hand, can glide through the air by using her ponytail like a propeller, allowing her to gain even easier access to longer jumps. If you think that this would make Dixie more useful, well, you'd be right. Diddy's rolling jump technique doesn't come up as required all too often, where many secrets are easier to find with Dixie's gliding ability. Yes, there are secrets in DKC 2, and they're much easier to keep track of this time around. Whereas the original Donkey Kong Country had bonus barrels, but they resembled just your run-of-the-mill barrels, the bonus barrels in DKC 2 have a specific designation to show you that it's indeed a bonus stage. Also, when you find all of the bonus stages in a level, the level name on the map screen will contain an exclamation mark at the end of it, designating that all the secrets were found. You can use this feature along with the DK insignia in the forefront of the name to determine if you've fully completed a stage. So what are these bonus stages like? Well, they range from just having to navigate the terrain to find the coin, or just to defeat every enemy in the room. The reward for all of them is what's considered a Creme coin. These coins are used to access the secret world. More on that later. First though, you might be wondering what those DK coins are. Well, they're huge coins with a DK emblem on them. They're usually hidden very well, and by finding them all, you'll be considered a hero in Cranky Kong's eyes. Yeah, he's back, and he's still pretty nasty to you. But at least finding these coins will get you a place in the Hall of Fame. Or at least a coin with Cranky. In all honesty, it's just one extra step towards total completion. There is another type of coin you can collect, called a Banana Bunch coin. These are used as payment for the Kong friends for their services. These range from playing a trivia game with Swanky Kong for extra lives, to getting hints from Cranky or Wrinkly. Wrinkly Kong's college is also where you want to go to when you want to save your game. Although saving in each world is free on the first save, each subsequent one will require you to pay usually about 2 coins. Basically, you're going to want to save a few of these coins, just in case. So the game plays out identically like the original. It's an action platformer where you can bounce on heads and roll through enemies to defeat them, all while collecting coins and bananas. Interestingly enough, the game actually starts on the exact same level as the final boss stage from the original DKC. Even the music is very similar. It's a cool start to the game, and it just gets better from here. Just like the original DKC, each stage has some sort of theme to it. They aren't always as noticeable as the original DKC though, and some of them do repeat. This doesn't affect it negatively though, because it's still fantastic in its own right. Even if some of the stages repeat slightly in theme, they still contain enough different material to keep the game entirely fresh. But as for these themes, let me give you a few examples. One of the levels contains a bunch of hot air balloons over lava. You need to maneuver these balloons over the lava while using the air pockets to elevate the balloons back to safe heights. It starts off simple enough, but after the checkpoint it starts throwing more obstacles at you, like the bees. Because of this, you now need to evade enemies and also try to stay away from lava. Another stage has a bunch of wheels coming at you. They're super bouncy but will crush you if you don't get out of the way. At the same time, you'll need to use the wheels to pass obstacles. And of course, the obligatory minecart stages appear again, and they can be just as frustrating, mainly because one of them has gates that you need to raise. If you miss a gate, you take damage. In addition to these themes, you still have access to the animal compatriots. Rampy the Rhino returns, as does Engard the Swordfish. Squawks the Bird has a much heavier influence now since he spits peanuts at the enemies as he flies. New to this game is Rattly the Snake. He can jump extremely high, and you can hold down A to make him charge his jump. However, his movements do seem to be a bit slower than the other characters. In addition to him, you can also control Squitter, a spider that can shoot webs at enemies and also shoot another type of web to use as a platform. Y shoots the regular web, and pressing L or R once will shoot the platform web. Pressing L or R a second time will expand the platform for use. You do need to keep in mind that these platforms only last for a few seconds, and only 2 of them can be active at a time, so you can't sit on one forever. In addition to finding these pals in crates to ride them, you can also enter barrels with their faces on them. By entering these barrels, you control the animal directly. There's only a slight difference to this. When riding an animal friend, if you get hit, the power runs away. If you control the animal directly, if you get hit, you'll lose the little health marker on the bottom of the screen. If that health marker isn't there, then you'll just lose a life like normal. Most of the times when you find an animal friend barrel, you're actually forced to enter it. Oh, and the endpoint is also much more noticeable in DKC2. Instead of just leaving through the door at the end, there's now a pole that rotates between end stage prizes. These range from extra lives, bananas, coins of every variety, and even the final letter if you've been spelling Kong. The trick is that you need to hit this platform below the pole from slightly higher elevation than your regular jump. So if you just jump onto the platform, you won't get the prize. Basically, the whole device resembles an old Test Your Might minigame in a carnival. Although getting the prize isn't necessarily required for a level completion, sometimes the DK coin is on this pole. So as you're playing the game, you'll be collecting a multitude of coins and other collectibles. But what about the secret world I mentioned? Well, throughout the game, you'll meet up with a guard named Klubba. You'll need to give him 15 Krem coins to cross the bridge. Once you enter the Lost World, you have access to the exit back to where you came from and another stage. These levels are the toughest in the game, but in order to access them all, you will need to find all of the bonus Krem coins. After that, you'll be able to fight the true final boss. Upon saying that, let me talk about the first final boss, which is naturally King K. Rool again. He's the one that kidnapped Donkey Kong, but that's no secret, as you know this right from the beginning of the game. The evil king is even more annoying in this game than he was in the original. He'll attack in different ways, and the last shot in each attack wave will yield a cannonball. By throwing the cannonball at King K. Rool, it'll jam his gun up, and he'll be damaged. Do this about a dozen times and that's how he's finally defeated. Of course, this doesn't mean it's easy. In fact, it's downright hell to try to defeat him. The graphics don't really change any in this installment of DKC. They're still amazing for the time, and to this day still look fantastic. The music, on the other hand, seems to have been improved exponentially, and that's saying something. The first game's music was pretty good, and the music in the sequel just got much better. Probably my favorite tune is a flooded warehouse-like area. It just feels epic. All the music is appropriate, just like this one. So what about the game as a whole? I mean, all of the parts that comprise the game are good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the game as a whole is good. However, this isn't one of those cases. Every feature of the game vastly improves on the original formula. The only thing that really stays the same is the engine. Everything else, from the music and bonus games, are improved upon. Even the difficulty ramps up consistently. By the final stage, all of those easy extra lives are going to start to be flushed down the drain, and you'll be finding yourself saving your game after every completed stage. Because of all these cumulative features, Donkey Kong Country 2 is truly a flawless game. It's easily one of the best games that the SNES has to offer. Call me biased because I originally only owned the third game, but I still don't think it's the best of the series. In any case though, it's definitely a must play, especially if you enjoyed any of the other Donkey Kong Country games. Final score? 10 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.